Greetings, greetings, greetings. You are now tuned into the vault. Trust Christian, own nothing, control everything. Just want to thank you for tuning in live, listening to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listening to replay. This is the vault, episode 371. I'd rather trade it than own it. And this is definitely a great episode, kind of by request, and just what we see in the marketplace right now is, so many different things going on in the marketplace. So many people reach out to the vault on this every single week, and they talk about owning assets. They talk about controlling assets. They talk about holding title to assets and things of that nature. And this maybe have quite a bit of counterintuitive information in it. Specifically, a lot of the information that we talk to about the trustees and stuff like that. When they ask us about trading, or people reach out and they ask about trading and things of that nature. I definitely want to do this episode today because this is one of those episodes that a lot of trustees kind of have issues with, and we rather talk about it than not talk about it. So I'd rather trade it than own it. This is a great episode for a lot of the trustees that have gone through trustee training, that are looking to trade, that are trading. We're definitely going to talk about it today because one of the things that a lot of the trustees run into, or what we've seen trustees run into, is that they have a lot of ownership over things that they currently have in their life: cars, houses, things of that nature. And in turn, trading is kind of like one of the harder things for them because they're not used to being in a position where they are more liquid than they are tied up in an investment. Most people are tied up in investments, what they call investments, whether it's their house, whether it's a car. Most people are tied up in those investments. So when we talk about trading, trading is abnormal. Trading means that we're taking positions, we're in and out of positions, we're doing our best to have liquid cash. We're not looking to be, having a hard asset. And it's challenging right now because you hear the vault always talk about certain specific assets that we work with different families and trustees with, and things of that nature, whether you're talking about gold and silver. But even when we talk about the gold and silver, and we are going to talk about that today, we can talk about that today actually. Let's talk about it. So we would jump straight in it with some of the staple assets that people talk about all the time, like, oh, should I get gold and should I get silver? How do we deal with gold and silver? There's many ways to go about doing it, but the thing about it is we don't look at gold and silver as an asset at the vault. So when people talk to us about gold and silver, we're not talking about gold and silver as an investment. We're talking about it from more of a savings perspective. So a lot of the times you get a lot of people that run into, well, I don't know how to trade because their mind is so used to getting stuck in particular asset classes. They're very biased towards asset classes. Whereas when we look at the trading allows people to stay nimble. It allows people to not necessarily own an asset, because when you own an asset, you have higher levels of liability. Even if you acquire gold and silver, where are you going to store it? So you have the liability of holding the hard asset. So we know that this is trust Christian, know not to control everything. And this is why we actually did this at the vault, where we brought on the trading partner Cornell, because he helped people realize more and more that the trading mindset is in line with an investor uh, portfolio manager mindset, but it's less in line with someone that's considered to be a saver. Savers are usually wanting to be owners, because they want to hold the hard tangible asset. So we're not going to get too far off the rails with it, maybe even going into some crypto or things of that nature with NFTs and things like that. We can go there, but we're not. We're gonna keep it towards trading assets through the different various markets, and as well owning the actual asset itself. And really comes down to is trustees or anyone involved will have to do a simple cost analysis of, is it going to cost more to actually own it, or is it going to cost less to actually just trade it. And most people will be surprised to see, to their chagrin, especially if they're traditional owners, is that it's actually more beneficial, and has been in many times, to trade it, because when you trade, you make money on the depreciation of an asset, and you make money on the appreciation of an asset. So it gives someone a lot more leverage to be able to create wealth faster. Whereas if an individual just owns an asset, they're waiting for the price appreciation at all times, whether that's real estate, whether that's, once again, it could be gold, it could be silver, it could be collectible art, diamonds, pearls. We've even talked about some other assets recently, like just even alcohol, wine, things of that nature. Those things have to appreciate an asset. How do you make money on the asset if it's losing value, quote unquote, or it's losing market value, perceptual value? People are selling out of the position. Oh, well, most people don't have enough background on the particular assets that they're in, but we're going to talk about the trade. The trade is how you make money on the buy and the sell. And you can do that. And if you can make money on the buy or the sell, it's more advantageous than owning it. So once again, appreciate Bronx for tuning in live, listen to replay. Always appreciate Bronx for tuning in live, listen to replay. We got Carrollton, Ohio, tuning in live, listen to replay. Always appreciate Carrollton, Ohio for tuning in live, listen to replay. Feel free to reach out wherever you listen live or in the replay from. Once again, this episode is definitely for quite a few of the trustees that, they come to us and they ask us, oh, we're looking to be debt free. Well, if you're looking to be debt free, that means you're not trying to own it. You're trying to trade it. You're trading your freedom for ownership. And the only way you get back your freedom is by giving up ownership. And this is a tricky one for a lot of trustees, especially if they've older, they've had houses before, they've had assets before, but they don't want to give up that superficial position of ownership and liability because they don't know how to trade. And that's what it comes down to. They really just don't know how to trade. And so it's rather important for us to talk about trading the assets. We were talking to one trustee the other day, talking to him about a specific real estate vehicle. And this individual actually said they want to own property. Some people say, well, what's wrong with that, Trust Christian? What's wrong with that? First of all, you're anticipating that the stock market or the real estate market is going to go up forever. It's not. There's going to be a market correction in real estate. Like, this is one of the most mind-blowing things right now about the generation of people. They think real estate prices just going to keep going up. Like, just because you haven't seen the 30-year correction yet doesn't mean that it's not going to be a correction. Do you know the demographic headwinds facing the country? Every generation has a different set of demographic headwinds. Whether it's baby boomers having more children or millennials having maybe one and a dog. But it changes the real estate landscape when you're talking about real estate. But everybody wants to talk about the real estate. No, I want to own this property. But what about just trading it? What happened to going trading, real estate companies? They didn't learn that yet. What happened to going and trading companies that contribute to the real estate growing, which gives them a lot more leverage, that gives them a lot more liquidity, which gives them the opportunity to make more money. And we don't want to just paint this picture as, oh, it's faster. It's not that they're making money faster. It's that they're in a position where you're not holding on an asset and incurring that liability that comes with it. A trade is not necessarily owning the asset. It's actually what they call the futures market or contracts. It's actually one of the more ideal ways to be operating in trust because it's dealing with a contract. Owning it, not necessarily in all cases, but obviously in any ownership situation, you're going to want some level of contract to be in place. And people do. People want the contracts to be in place to say that they own something. That's fair. When you're trading it, you don't have a contract that says you own it. You have an implied contract that states if this goes your way, then it actually is going to make you money. If it goes against you, then there is going to be a substantial amount of money or a certain amount of money that you're going to actually lose. But that still doesn't mean that you own the asset. It's like when people talk about owning fractions of a Bitcoin. You know, people talk about owning fractions, owning fractions, owning fractions. Well, okay, they own a fraction of the Bitcoin, but they're not trading it. So when it loses value, when it goes under their implied contract that they have of a fractional ownership, when it goes below their entry point, maybe they didn't get in at 300, maybe they didn't get in at 8,000. So they don't have $8,000 worth. They might have a fraction. So they own a portion of it. But are they trading it? Are they trading it? That's the question. Are you able to trade it? Are you able to get liquid? Are you able to never really let go of it because you see that it's in a winning position, so you increase it more? And these are the things that we talk about with our trustees. One of these conversations that we had is because you see the husband and the wife, and they're having conversations about going out and buying a new house, but they know that there's a potential downside of ownership. And it's challenging as a trustee because trustees initially have been trained, like most people have been trained, to own something. Well, how can we get this? Why can't we live this life if we don't own it? But then you have the couples sometimes work together and say, okay, well, it's not about us owning it, it's about us controlling it. And as long as we can maintain that position, that means we're trading, we're not owning. What are you trading? You didn't give up your freedom, so you didn't trade away your freedom to be slave to a debt. You're just trading capital. We either wanted this or we didn't want it. We wanted to move around with it or we don't want to move around with it. It's a really simple episode, but we have so many people come to the vault throughout the years and even recent and ask about this type of stuff. You know, so many people are laden with what they consider ownership assets. Oh, I own this house or I own this car. But do you know what it's like to be personally debt free? Your name is debt free. Do you know what that's like? Most people don't because they own debt. And then you got these gurus on the internet nowadays that say, oh, don't worry about owning debt, because there's good debt and bad debt. Is that in your name or on the company? But they rather own it instead of just trade it. Trading their time for acquisition of assets instead of just owning an asset. There's a difference. Just because you traded time to acquire the asset doesn't mean you still own it. Trust Christian, own and control everything. Just because you trade time to acquire an asset does not mean you own it. But there are many people that go about it with that approach of, if I go and I acquire an asset, I'm going to take on the full liability of owning it. And that's what makes the trading so special. It's because we've seen companies right now, a lot of people, they were having issues with the market going down quite a bit. They were long stock. They were long all these different companies. And now they're finding out that going long is not necessarily the best route to go. And who knows how long the down's going to go? Who knows how long that's going to go? But if you're trading right now, what are you losing? Can you lose? Can you win? And so there are opportunities available right now with even market sell offs happening. But those are trades. Those aren't ownership because no one's trying to own a dip down. Most people are not trying to own that. Most people have been trained into only buying when it's going up. It's counterintuitive even buy when it's going down because you don't know when the market's going to correct itself. Most people don't know when the market's going to correct itself. So it seems counterintuitive to buy when the market's going down. We're not giving financial advice or legal advice on this podcast. So, it's no need to associate us with that type of mentality. The focus here is to have an open conversation about I'd rather trade it than own it. Because so many people are trading. I mean, so many people are looking to own instead of trade. And we just wanted to talk about that today, challenging individuals' mindsets towards assets. It's sort of like, do you own your position at job, or are you just trading time for money? When you have the proper perspective towards jobs or assets, you can see that there are false guarantees in life. Oh, you can own the house if you just make the payment and call it your own. You can own this job even though you can get fired. Well, what about trading your time for your goals and your dreams? Do you own your goals and your dreams, or are you trading time for your goals and your dreams? Because once those things can be quantified, trading the time and capital for those goals and dreams, ownership is not necessary. Because we talk about trust Christian, own how to control everything. We talk about we talk about it all here at the Vault. So we definitely appreciate, once again, everybody for tuning in live, listen to replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, that's Christian at trustchristian.com. I'd rather trade it than own it. Very, very important episode. Just very briefly, because trading is the superior sport. Can you take losses there? But yes, but can you take losses as an owner? For sure. But at the Vault, we rather trade it than own it. And that's a harsh reality. It's a different in mindset. Oh man, I gotta not own anything. Where the trustee come to us, they're tentative on how they even gonna sell the real estate that they own. Why? Because they know they're fully liable for that profit. That's why. So why wouldn't you just go out and trade real estate? Trade real estate companies, trade contributors to grow the real estate companies. Why even worry about owning it? But the reason why so many people are trying to own it is because it's just their programming, previous training, and the way that you get around that is by getting around the right people. So many people say, "Oh, I want to get in real estate." Every conversation we have at the Vault, if a person not in real estate already, everybody's saying they're looking to get in real estate, and we ask them in what capacity, and they're always talking about owning some daggone single family homes. Some of them will talk about having multi units, but nevertheless, none of them talk about trading it, as if the market for trading real estate companies is null and void. No, it's there. Just most people are not looking to trade it, because trading is a skill, whereas ownership puts them back in the same old saver, get a job for 30 years mentality. Everybody can do it. Who can't go acquire some real estate with a mortgage and sit on it and expect the market to go up and think that you're going to rent the property out with minimal property management fees, and you're going to be able to manage the properties by yourself because it's going to take over your life and give you passive income? And this is what people say. This is what people say. We appreciate everybody for tuning in live, listening to replay. Feel free to reach out, Christian at trustchristian.com. You know, it's just wild to see so many people not learn the skill of trading. And they wonder why they're not able to take ownership of their life, which is their time. You can't even really own time, but you can make it a point to control your time. Well, you may not be able to own it because you got to still do something, but being in control of your time is just as equally important. So now you're trading your time for money, where some people trade things so they can acquire assets that end up paying them while they sleep, paying them for things that they would have traditionally owned, but now they can just trade it. Now it's working for them. And those things are important. So it's not a long episode. Doesn't need to be a long episode. The biggest thing is understanding the difference, going to your Black's Law Dictionary, looking up in your Black's Law Dictionary the difference between ownership and what trade is, because so many people just want to own it. That's the easy route out. Trading it is knowing, doing your market research, knowing what is a sell. and what is a buy. They're two different things. Ownership is something different than trading. And looking into it and actually allowing yourself to get more leverage. So we appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listen to replay. Always appreciate everybody that tunes in live, listens in the replay. This is Christian at the Vault. Trust Christian at Trust Christian. Christian at trustchristian.com. Once again, this is the Vault, episode 371. I'd rather trade it than own it. Christian at trustchristian.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Peace. Enjoy.